get back to the transfer portal and everything that's happening there. Tennessee hasn't made a pickup since we last talked about the transfer portal. The last one was Andre Carrick, the kid from the offensive lineman.
BYU linebacker. We did.
Oh, that's right.
I think we did talk about him, though.
That's right. So it was Andre Carrick from Texas, and then Peely from BYU, a linebacker from BYU, which I think is a significant pickup for Tennessee and a really good one, and nice piece that's going to help build depth on that defense. But outside of that, there hasn't been a lot of movement, and I did want to talk about. I want to give credit where it's due if I can find it. Somebody asked in the lead up to the show. It was number 5 Hendon fan on Twitter. He asked, "Are you surprised Tennessee is not doing very well in the portal, especially at wide receiver and defensive back?" And I guess I would go, "Do you think Tennessee is not doing well in the transfer portal?" And should there be more pickups? At this point, I'll say this. At this point, I kind of agree with defensive back. I don't know that the options in the transfer portal at this point are really going to be huge improvements on what you have. But do you agree with that? Where do you land, Zach?
Yeah, I mean, they haven't made a lot of noise in the portal, and I don't want to say, oh, it's totally by design or this or that, because we really don't know for sure. I know they missed on the one offensive lineman from Rhode Island that ended up at Oregon, I believe.
Yeah.
And that's really the biggest miss. I mean, they would have loved to have had one of those wide receivers that went to Georgia, but you lose a wide receiver to Georgia. What are you going to say? It's Georgia. They got their guys. They went and wanted them. They got them. I mean, Georgia kind of gets who they want. So that wasn't a big surprise. I think Tennessee's kind of being patient because there's going to be more portal movement after these bowl games, and they kind of need to be, because Tennessee's only had a few opt-outs. They've had Jimmy Callaway, Jimmy Holiday, Miles Campbell. I mean, it's hit the portal. I mean, so they haven't had a lot of portal movement, but I think there will be a few more that enter the portal. Maybe they just wanted to make that trip to Miami, participate in the Orange Bowl, and then they'll be on their way. Tennessee's got to see who's leaving, what kind of spots they have, because the roster management, you can't just be taking guys and then nobody leaves, and you end up in a mess. So I think they're going to be patient on who leaves and then who enters the portal after bowl games, because right now, like you said, there's not a lot of DBs out there that they can take that's a definite upgrade over what they have. A lot of times when guys hit the portal, unless they're coming from a smaller school and it was just a recruiting miss, they might not be an upgrade over what you have. A lot of these guys enter the portal because they're doing the same thing at their current school that some of Tennessee's defensive backs are doing. So you're just kind of making a lateral move there. If you're going to take a guy, you want to make sure that it's a for sure upgrade. So I do think that's part of it, and just finding the right fit. I don't think they're going to, go out and sign 10 guys after the bowl games, but I think we'll see some more movement there.
Yeah, I think you look at like Sam Hartman at Wake Forest, who this morning it was announced that he's going in the transfer portal, and somehow everybody that reported that news knew that he was going to go to Notre Dame. I wonder why that would be.
Yeah,
how could they know?
That made me think of this comment that Jeff made a second ago. There, he said he saw that Tennessee tried to tamper with Hayden at OSU at Ohio State.
Fall is in the air, and that means fall grilling with cookouts, tailgate parties, and so much more. Luckily, the flavor experts at Omaha Steaks have made it easy to savor all the flavors of fall with their mouthwatering assortments of perfectly aged steaks, ultra juicy burgers, and easy-to-prepare comfort meals that are ready in a flash. And now is the perfect time to load up on all this incredible flavor and take advantage of 50% off site-wide by shopping their Friends and Family sale. Go to omahasteaks.com and use my promo code VOLS, that is VOLS, at checkout and get $30 off your order. And guys, I've said it in these ads for weeks now. I've had all of the stuff from Omaha Steaks. I can't endorse it enough. Everything has been high quality. It comes right to your door, so easy and convenient, and I mean, most importantly, tasty. So I wouldn't say it if I didn't believe it. So don't wait. Go to omahasteaks.com and stock up today. Omaha Steaks isn't just steak. It's the best steak of your life, guaranteed. And don't forget to score that extra $30 off your order when you use VOLS at checkout, VOLS. Omaha Steaks is perfect for those chilly and busy fall nights. You won't come close to getting this kind of quality at the grocery store. Visit omahasteaks.com. Promo code VOLS at checkout. Minimum order may be required. Omaha Steaks.
I don't know if that's true or not, but I would
Maybe.
tell you that probably is because everybody's tampering right now, and that Sam Hartman deal is a perfect example of that. I mean, if you think that there aren't phone calls happening between, and here's a popular way that it happens that we kind of know, high school coaches have been kind of the conduit between schools where they're the ones making the calls for a guy from, you know, Wake Forest that wants to transfer to Notre Dame. Well, maybe that goes through Sam Hartman's high school coach back in Charlotte. He's the one that's kind of setting that up, possibly. I'm not saying for sure that's how Hartman's situation worked out, but we do know that that's happening to some extent. So tampering, just like NFL free agency, when those deals are announced as soon as the league year starts, it's the same thing. It's definitely happening.
Yeah, guys text and talk. I mean, as far as Dallin
Teammates,
Hayden,
teammates. I mean, all these dudes know each other
yeah.
from the recruiting process. They're texting guys, "Hey, ask your coach. Tell your coach, I'm thinking about leaving, and hey, this guy might want to transfer here. What do you think?" I mean, it's absolutely happening.
Well, and as far as Dallin Hayden goes, I mean, I think Chris Foster in the comments right here, he said, "How would it be tampering?" Dallin Hayden's dad is an alum. That's absolutely true. His dad is a very prominent former running back at Tennessee, Aaron Hayden. I mean, what you could do in that situation is go like, "Hey, Aaron, if your kid wants to come to Tennessee, tell him we got a fat paycheck for him and a starting spot, and tell him to come on down." And that's not against the rules, I don't think. At least not that I've heard. And so who knows? There is no every part of this is speculation. Every part of it is speculation with Sam Hartman. I mean, we're just making assumptions because people knew he was going to Notre Dame before he ever even. I mean, he's not in the transfer portal currently. They just announced he's going to be. But there's point being out of all that, there's plenty of ways to circumvent these rules. You can go around the bend and back any way that you have to. And Lord knows that everyone who's coaching high level college football, they know those ways. They know what to do. They know how to avoid these rules. Unless they're Jeremy Pruitt, they know how to avoid those rules. So it is what it is. And outside of that, with Tennessee picking up anybody, I think there is a decent chance with this kid from Oregon, Dante
The wide
Thornton. It
receiver,
sounds
yeah.
like, yeah, but then otherwise with running backs or something like that, do you need a running back? I think they can be very passive with that one. You need defensive backs, and hopefully with that position, they're kind of going, okay, after the bowl games, there's going to be more. After spring practice, there's going to be more, and we'll add some over that time. And they're not panic adding. They're not going out and trying to get anybody that they can at all. They're being selective, and I think that's fine. And so
Brent brings up a question here. Do collectives have any restrictions on being able to contact a player at another university?
I don't
The
know.
collectives aren't. Yeah, so there's a real gray area with all this, and there's not a lot of answers to these questions. And we've worked on trying to get somebody on from one of these collectives, but it's kind of hard to. People don't really want to have those conversations because they kind of like operating in that gray area, if that makes sense. So you're not they're not supposed to be involved in the recruitment of players, whether that's a high school recruit or another player. I mean, they're supposed to be like signed at Tennessee, enrolled before they're really helping them with NIL deals. And of course, all that, none of that's supposed to be pay for play or any of that. You're not supposed to offer anybody an NIL deal to come to a program technically. So a lot of the stuff that we talk about that's happening isn't really technically supposed to be happening as far as these offers that go out to these kids. That's not the way it's supposed to be set up at all, but obviously that's what's happening.
For sure. You have to play the game, and they know how. But Chris Foster, I was reading some of these comments. Chris Foster says it seems like Tennessee will holler at Marshawn Lloyd if they don't get him. It's not the end of the world. I've seen some about this from the recruiting guys. I mean, I think you would be totally remiss to not say, "Hey, what's up?" to South Carolina's best offensive player who's transferring. Like that would be a mistake. So hey,
if that happens, I could see one of Tennessee's running backs hitting the portal, though. I don't know which one it would be. My gut says maybe Dylan Sampson, just because he's from Louisiana. Perhaps he would go back that direction. Jabari Small is only, I think he's he's kind of entrenched himself as a key player, and Jalen Wright was kind of that same deal. Really stepped up this year, ran a lot more physical, and became a guy that could count on. But yeah, if you take Lloyd, which I do think you have to take him because he's a really talented player, I would think he's probably better than the players that Tennessee has in the running back room at this point. Not that I mean, I like Tennessee's running backs that they have. I think they'll be just fine. Like the comment says, it's kind of a luxury if they do get him, but he might want to go somewhere where it's less crowded. We'll see.
Yeah, he was. I was gonna look to see what his stats were, and it's taken me too long. Well,
He
either
missed
way,
some time with injury, so
he did.
they weren't the numbers weren't as great if you just look at it like that.
Well, either way, I mean, I think you would at least have to make a pass at him. It's kind of the same with a kid like Dallin Hayden. I mean, like, dude, his dad's an alum at Tennessee. At least try. I don't know. Throw it out there. He's a backup at Ohio State. Come down to be a starter here and make your name. I think it's yeah, you can call it tampering and it's technically against the rules. The NCAA is not going to do diddly flipping squat about any of this. And everyone is doing it. I mean, just look at Jordan Addison last year with USC and Lincoln Riley. I mean, Lincoln Riley has been doing that nonsense wide out in the open for years now. He did it to Tennessee. Three guys from Tennessee went over there, and I mean, that he was trying to, how would you say that, stick his finger in the Tennessee pie, so to speak, way before any of that went down.
Of course, the irony there is that Lincoln bolted after 1 year with those guys, and then they miss out on a 10-2 year. Tennessee had a better year than Oklahoma in 2022. Who would have thought that a couple of years ago when Eric Gray and Wanya Morris and Keyshawn Lawrence were leaving Knoxville to head to Oklahoma, and I think Josh Heupel's taken some pleasure in that as well, because we've heard him multiple times reference the kids that left Tennessee in early 2021, and he's not really so much a shot at them, but he's praised the guys that stayed, that believed in his vision and his staff's vision. And I think there's a part of him that's really smiling, knowing that, they left what they thought they were leaving for greener pastures, and they really left those pastures behind.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. A little bit of karma. I'm not gonna lie. With I don't know, some of those guys kind of left out of necessity because they were potentially involved.
Yeah, that's true.
Cheating that happened. But the guys that left,
I'm not sure how much that impacted everything, because they were still eligible at Oklahoma and nothing ever really came of that. So I don't necessarily buy that was the only way that they could keep playing.
Yeah, but and I mean, Danny says in the comments here, he says with Hugh Freeze back in the SEC, Tennessee better get good at it, because he's
already doing it. He's already doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I say it every week. SEC football is a snake pit. You got to be a viper to win, and I think underneath that kind exterior, we've seen on multiple occasions that Josh Heupel's that guy.
Yeah, he's got the pettiness in him.
Oh man,
I'm not worried about that.
Absolutely, he will go out there and shake your hand and make nice, and then if he gets the opportunity, he'll crush your soul. I think that's the type of guy that Heupel is, which is awesome. I love that, and hopefully it continues to pay dividends for Tennessee. But yeah, you gotta do what everybody else is doing, or else you're gonna get steamrolled. So I
think with the portal, I do think talking about the running backs, like you said, you get one that's fine. They need to focus on maybe get another DL. They probably need an offensive tackle at this point, because you moved on that one. You missed on the one guy. The guy from Texas might play inside, replace Jerome Carvin. So you still need a replacement for Darnell Wright. I think my priorities would be offensive tackle, DL, and obviously some secondary players.
Plenty of needs.
Because even at wide receiver, the kid from Oregon would be great. He's a big play threat. He averaged 20-some yards a catch, I believe, which fits right in line with what Josh Heupel wants to do in the passing game. But even if you don't get him, I think you're still pretty good at wide receiver, as long as you don't suffer a bunch of injuries. I mean, you're looking at Brew McCoy, Ramel Keaton, and Square White being your top three guys next year, and Walker Merrill probably coming in there and playing a bigger role, which, believe it or not, he was like fourth on the team in receiving touchdowns this year. It didn't seem like that. He had like 8 catches, and 3 of them went for touchdowns, which is pretty wild to think about. So he could play a bigger role next year. I think you'll be okay at wide receiver if you don't get one, but it would certainly be nice to get one. And Chris brings up add another tight end. Definitely
Oh yeah.
do need to add another tight end. I think that one from North Texas, Jade Roberts.
Hmm.
I think he's probably the best, not the best option, but the most likely option that would land. And perhaps that's your next tight ends coach too. The former North Texas head coach Seth Luttrell, that was Josh Heupel's teammate at Oklahoma. That could maybe be a package deal there.
Yeah, there's a lot about that situation that makes sense for Tennessee. If you get Luttrell as your tight ends coach, it would make sense to get that kid in the tight ends room there. We'll see, but I think as the next week passes, you're going to see more guys go into the portal, like Hartman at Wake Forest. The bowl game's over. All right, time to put my name in the portal. You're going to see a lot of that, and the transfer landscape is going to continue to change over the next few months, and Tennessee will keep making moves through that. But anything else with the transfer portal, Zach, that we might have missed? I was trying to think. I think we covered the bulk of it.
Yeah, I'm sure we missed something, but like it's a fluid deal where I mean, it never closes. It's 24/7, so you never know. You never really know what's going to happen.
Seriously.
And Tennessee's kept a couple of these visits and these commitments that they've got out of the portal pretty quiet. I mean, that BYU deal was out of nowhere, landing that linebacker, and he even came to Knoxville and visited. So you might not hear any rumors, and then just something all of a sudden pops up where, hey,
Yeah,
Tennessee's got this guy.
it seems like a lot of these dudes that go into the transfer portal, they like don't want it. They know what a recruitment is like, where everybody is in their business 24/7. And it's almost like a lot of them sort of go out of their way to be like, yeah, we're not doing that again.
Well,
And they shut it down.
you're in the portal. You've been in a college program for at least a year. A lot of these guys a lot longer, and they're a lot more media savvy. They're not
Oh,
going to
yeah.
do the interviews. They're not going to. The high school kids will talk to the recruiting services, and they'll tell them whatever they want to tell them, and they don't really turn interviews down. But these guys that have been on campus and they've been through this whole deal, they're going to keep to themselves and just do what they want to do. They know they don't need to talk to anybody in the media. They don't need hype. They don't need any of that. They'll talk to the coaches, and they'll find the best spot for them.